Sir, I would like to buy this car. The old man's voice shook a little as he spoke. His clothes were torn and dirty. His feet were bare and dusty. He looked like he had not eaten in days. The young salesman in the shiny gray suit turned around. His name was Marcus. He had perfectly styled hair and expensive leather shoes that clicked on the showroom floor. When he saw the old man standing by the bright red sports car, he almost laughed out loud. "Excuse me?" Marcus said, his eyebrows going up. "Did you just say you want to buy this car?" "Yes, sir," the old man replied quietly. "How much does it cost?" Marcus looked the old man up and down. He saw the ripped brown jacket. He saw the dirty pants. He saw the bare feet. Then Marcus smiled, but it was not a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who thinks they are better than you. "Sir, do you even know where you are?" Marcus asked, crossing his arms. "This is Premier Motors. We sell luxury cars. This car you're touching costs more than most people make in 10 years. The old man nodded slowly. "I understand, but I would still like to know the price." Marcus let out a long breath like he was annoyed. "This car costs $500,000. That's $500,000. Do you have that kind of money?" The old man didn't answer right away. He just looked at the car with soft eyes like he was remembering something from long ago. "Can I sit in it?" the old man asked. Marcus actually laughed this time. Not a small laugh, a big, loud laugh that echoed through the whole showroom. Two other salespeople looked over to see what was funny. "Sit in it? Sir, look at yourself. You're filthy. You'll dirty the seats." "These are Italian leather seats. They cost more than whatever you're wearing." The old man's face didn't change. He didn't look angry. He didn't look embarrassed. He just looked sad. But there was something else in his eyes too. Something that Marcus couldn't quite understand. It looked almost like disappointment. "I'm sorry to have bothered you," the old man said softly. He turned to walk away. "Yeah, you should be sorry," Marcus called after him. "Next time, know your place before you waste people's time. There's a soup kitchen 3 blocks down. That's more your speed." The other salespeople laughed. One of them, a young woman named Brittany, pulled out her phone and took a picture of the old man walking away. "This is going on my story," she giggled. "Look at this homeless guy who thought he could buy a $500,000 car." But one person in the showroom was not laughing. Her name was Sophie. She was new. It was only her 3rd week working at Premier Motors. She watched the old man walk slowly toward the glass doors. Something about the way he carried himself made her feel uncomfortable about what just happened. He didn't walk like a beggar. He walked like someone who was tired, someone who had been hurt, but also someone who had dignity. Sophie's grandmother had always told her, "Treat everyone with kindness, Sophie. You never know what battles they're fighting. You never know who they really are." Before she could stop herself, Sophie called out, "Sir, wait, please." Before we continue, let us know in the comment section, what time is it and where are you watching from? And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the story. Now let's continue. The old man stopped. He turned around slowly. His eyes met Sophie's eyes across the shiny showroom floor. Marcus groaned. "Sophie, what are you doing?" "Don't encourage him." But Sophie ignored Marcus. She walked quickly to the old man. Up close, she could see his face better. He had kind eyes, very kind eyes, and they looked familiar somehow, though she couldn't figure out why. "I'm so sorry about that," Sophie said quietly. "That was very rude. Can I help you with something? Were you really interested in looking at cars?" The old man studied her face for a moment. Then he smiled. It was a small smile, but it was genuine. It reached his eyes and made them crinkle at the corners. "You're different from the others," he said. "What's your name?" Sophie Martinez." "Well, Sophie Martinez, thank you for your kindness. It's becoming rare these days." He looked back at the red sports car one more time. "I used to have a car just like that one. Same color, same model. That was a long time ago." "Really?" Sophie said. "What happened to it?" The old man's smile faded a little. "I sold it. I needed the money for something more important. I was building something. A dream? And dreams cost money." Sophie felt her heart squeeze. There was something about this man, something special. She didn't know what it was, but she knew she was supposed to help him. "Would you like some water?" Sophie asked. "It's hot outside. We have a waiting area with air conditioning." Marcus appeared behind Sophie. "Sophie, stop wasting time. We have real customers to help." "I don't see any other customers right now," Sophie said, surprising herself with how brave she sounded. The old man held up his hand. "It's okay, young lady. I should go. But thank you. Your kindness means more than you know." As he walked toward the door, Sophie noticed something fall from his pocket. It was a small leather wallet, very old and worn. "Sir, you dropped something." Sophie ran after him. The old man was already outside. Sophie pushed through the glass doors and caught up to him in the parking lot. "Your wallet," she said, holding it out. The old man took it. "Thank you." He opened it to check if everything was still inside. As he did, Sophie caught a glimpse of what was in it. Her eyes went wide. Inside the wallet was a business card. And on that card was a name that made Sophie's heart stop. Robert Chen. But that couldn't be right. Robert Chen was... He was... "Is your name really Robert Chen?" Sophie whispered. The old man looked at her. Really looked at her. Then he nodded slowly. Sophie felt like the ground was moving under her feet. Robert Chen. The Robert Chen. The man who had started Premier Motors 40 years ago with nothing but a dream and $500. The man who built it into one of the biggest luxury car companies in America. The man who was worth billions. But why did he look like this? Why was he dressed in rags? "I don't understand," Sophie said. "If you're really him, if you're really Mr. Chen, why are you? Why do I look like a homeless man?" Robert Chen finished her question. His eyes were sad but not angry. "Because I wanted to see something. I wanted to know what my company had become. So I dressed like this and came to visit my own stores, to see how my employees treat people they think are beneath them." Sophie's hand went to her mouth. "Oh no. I visited 12 Premier Motors locations in the past 3 weeks," Robert Chen continued, "dressed exactly like this. And do you know how many employees were kind to me? How many treated me like a human being?" Sophie shook her head. She was afraid to hear the answer. "3, Robert Chen said. "Out of hundreds of employees, only 3 people showed me basic human kindness. And you, Sophie Martinez, are one of them." Tears filled Sophie's eyes. She thought about Marcus. She thought about Brittany. She thought about all the other salespeople who had laughed. "I built this company on a simple idea," Robert Chen said. His voice was stronger now, more powerful. "I built it on the belief that every person who walks through our doors deserves respect. Rich or poor, young or old. It doesn't matter, because 40 years ago, I was that poor man. I walked into a car dealership in torn clothes because they were the only clothes I had. And the owner, instead of laughing at me, gave me a job. He said, 'Anyone who has the courage to dream big deserves a chance.'" Sophie wiped her eyes. "That's beautiful. That owner became my mentor, my friend. He taught me everything about cars, about business, but most importantly, about treating people right. When he retired, he sold me the dealership for almost nothing. He said, 'Pass on the kindness, Robert. Build something that makes the world better.' And I promised him I would." Robert Chen looked back at the showroom. Through the glass windows, they could see Marcus and Brittany laughing about something. "But somewhere along the way, my company forgot that promise," Robert Chen said quietly. "We became so focused on selling expensive cars to rich people that we forgot about basic human decency." "What are you going to do?" Sophie asked. Robert Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I'm going to remind them. Come with me." They walked back into the showroom together. Marcus saw them coming and rolled his eyes. "Sophie, I told you to stop," Marcus started to say. "Call your manager," Robert Chen said. His voice was different now. It had authority, power. "Call him right now." Marcus blinked. "Excuse me? You can't tell me what to I said call your manager, now." Something in Robert Chen's voice made Marcus stop. He picked up the phone and dialed. "Mr. Patterson, there's a situation on the floor. Can you come down?" 5 minutes later, a man in an expensive suit came out of the back office. His name was David Patterson, and he was the manager of this Premier Motors location. He had worked for the company for 15 years. "What's the problem here?" Mr. Patterson asked. Then he saw the old man in torn clothes standing next to Sophie. His face twisted in disgust. "Security! We need security in here." "David Patterson," Robert Chen said calmly. "Do you know who I am?" Mr. Patterson looked at him like he was crazy. "I don't care who you are. You need to leave before I have you arrested for trespassing." Robert Chen reached into his wallet. He pulled out a card and handed it to Mr. Patterson. Mr. Patterson looked at the card. His face went white. His hands started shaking. "No," Mr. Patterson whispered. "No, this can't be." "I am Robert Chen," the old man said, "the founder and CEO of Premier Motors. And I came here today dressed like this to see how my employees treat people they think are poor and worthless." The showroom went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Marcus's mouth fell open. Brittany dropped her phone. All the color drained from their faces. "And what I saw disgusted me," Robert Chen continued. "I asked a simple question about a car, and I was mocked, laughed at, humiliated. One of you even took a picture to put on social media." Brittany started crying. "Mr. Chen, I'm so sorry, I didn't know." "You didn't know it was me," Robert Chen said. "But that's the problem, isn't it? You would have treated any poor person the same way. My identity shouldn't matter. Every person deserves respect." Mr. Patterson was shaking so hard he could barely stand. "Sir, please, I can explain." "Explain what? Explain why you called security on me? Explain why your team has forgotten every value this company was built on." Robert Chen walked slowly around the showroom. Everyone watched him. Some people had tears in their eyes. Others looked terrified. 40 years ago, I slept in my car because I couldn't afford rent," Robert Chen said. "I ate one meal a day. I wore the same clothes for weeks, but I had a dream. And one person, just one person, believed in me enough to give me a chance. That changed my entire life." He stopped walking and looked at each employee. "I built Premier Motors to be different, to be a company that lifts people up instead of pushing them down, a company where kindness matters more than profit. But I can see now that we've lost our way." Sophie stood quietly, listening to every word. Her heart was pounding. "Effective immediately," Robert Chen said. "David Patterson, you are fired. Marcus Reynolds, you are fired. Brittany Cooper, you are fired. Pack your things and leave." Brittany fell to her knees. "Please, Mr. Chen, please, I need this job. I have bills to pay." Robert Chen looked down at her. "And 40 years ago, I needed a job too. But the difference is, when someone gave me a chance, I treated people with respect. You had your chance, and you chose cruelty." Marcus tried to say something, but no words came out. Mr. Patterson just stood there looking broken. "However," Robert Chen said, and everyone looked up, "I believe in second chances. Not here. You cannot work at Premier Motors anymore. But I will give each of you a letter of recommendation for other jobs. Not because you deserve it, but because someone once showed me mercy when I didn't deserve it either. Learn from this. Become better people." The 3 fired employees slowly gathered their things and left. The showroom felt empty and cold. Robert Chen turned to Sophie. "Sophie Martinez, you've been here 3 weeks, is that correct?" Sophie nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, sir." "In those 3 weeks, did anyone train you on our company values? Did anyone teach you about respect and kindness?" Sophie shook her head. "No, sir. They just taught me about the cars and how to make sales." Robert Chen's face grew sad. "That's what I was afraid of." He raised his voice so everyone in the building could hear. "For too long, this company has focused only on money, only on sales numbers and profit margins. We forgot what really matters. We forgot about people." He walked to the center of the showroom. "Starting today, things are going to change. Every Premier Motors employee across the country will go through new training. We will learn again what it means to treat people with dignity. Rich, poor, young, old. It doesn't matter. Everyone gets respect. Everyone gets kindness." The remaining employees nodded, some of them crying. "Sophie Martinez," Robert Chen said, turning to her. "You showed me kindness when you had no reason to. You stood up to your coworker to defend a stranger. You ran after me to return my wallet when you could have just kept it or let me leave. That tells me everything I need to know about your character." Sophie felt her cheeks get hot. "How would you like to be the new manager of this location?" Robert Chen asked. Sophie's eyes went huge. "What? But I've only been here 3 weeks. I don't know enough about—" "You know the most important thing," Robert Chen interrupted gently. "You know how to treat people like human beings. Everything else can be taught. So what do you say?" Sophie couldn't believe this was happening. A few hours ago, she was just a new salesperson trying to learn the job. Now the founder of the company was offering her a manager position. "Yes," she finally said, her voice shaking with emotion. "Yes, I would be honored." Robert Chen smiled. It was a real smile this time, full of warmth. "Good. You start tomorrow. Today I want you to come with me. We have 11 more locations to visit. I want you to see what I see. I want you to help me fix this company." "But sir," Sophie said, "aren't you going to change your clothes?" Robert Chen looked down at his torn jacket and dusty pants. "Not yet. We have more testing to do. I need to see which other locations have forgotten our values, and I need to find the employees who still remember what kindness looks like." They left the showroom together. Sophie sat in Robert Chen's car. Not a fancy sports car, but a simple sedan. As they drove to the next Premier Motors location, Robert Chen told her stories. He told her about his childhood, growing up poor in a small town. He told her about his first job, washing cars for $2 an hour. He told her about the kind man who gave him a chance when nobody else would. "That man's name was George Williams," Robert Chen said, his eyes getting misty. "He died 10 years ago, but before he died, I visited him in the hospital. Do you know what he said to me?" Sophie shook her head. "He said, 'Robert, you've built an amazing company. You've become wealthy beyond your wildest dreams, but none of that matters if you forget where you came from. Never forget what it feels like to be poor, to be looked down on, to be treated like you're worthless. Remember that feeling, and make sure nobody else has to feel it when they walk into your stores." Robert Chen's voice cracked. "I promised him I would remember. But I got so busy running the company that I stopped visiting the stores. I stopped paying attention. And look what happened. We became the very thing we swore we'd never be." Sophie didn't know what to say. She just listened. They visited 3 more Premier Motors locations that day. At the first one, the employees ignored the homeless man completely. At the second one, security escorted him out before he could even speak. But at the third one, something different happened. A young man named Daniel walked up to Robert Chen and said, "Sir, you look tired. Would you like to sit down? Can I get you some water?" Robert Chen's eyes filled with tears. "You see that, Sophie? That's what I've been looking for. That's who we need to be." Daniel didn't know he was talking to the founder of the company. He was just being kind because it was the right thing to do. After they left that store, Robert Chen said, "Daniel is going to get a promotion. Find out what position he wants and make it happen. People like that, people who show kindness without expecting anything in return, those are the people who should be leading this company." Over the next few weeks, Robert Chen and Sophie visited all 37 Premier Motors locations across the country. They found employees who had forgotten the company's values. Those people were let go. But they also found dozens of employees like Daniel, like Sophie, who still understood what kindness meant. Those people were promoted. The changes didn't happen overnight. It took months. But slowly, Premier Motors transformed. They created new training programs focused on empathy and respect. They put up signs in every showroom that said, "Every person who walks through our doors deserves to be treated with dignity." They started a new policy. Once a month, employees had to volunteer at homeless shelters or food banks to remember that everyone is fighting battles we know nothing about. The company even created the George Williams Scholarship, giving money to help poor kids go to college, in honor of the man who had given Robert Chen his first chance. News of what happened spread across the country. People heard about the billionaire who dressed as a homeless man to test his own company. They heard about the employees who failed the test and the few who passed. Some people criticized Robert Chen. They said he was being too harsh. They said it wasn't fair to trick people like that. But Robert Chen didn't care. Fair? He said in a television interview. Is it fair that people get judged and mistreated because of how they look? Is it fair that someone in torn clothes gets laughed at while someone in a suit gets treated like royalty? I didn't create an unfair situation. I just revealed the unfairness that already existed. The interview went viral. Millions of people watched it, and something amazing happened. Other companies started doing the same thing. CEOs began testing their own employees, seeing how they treated people they thought were beneath them. A wave of change swept across corporate America. But the most amazing change happened in the hearts of regular people. People who had been rude to service workers started treating them with kindness. People who had ignored homeless folks started stopping to talk to them. The story reminded everyone of a simple truth that had been forgotten. Every person has value, no matter what they look like or how much money they have. Sophie thrived as the new manager. She hired employees who cared about people, not just sales. She trained them to see every customer as a human being with a story, with dreams, with dignity. The store's sales actually went up. Turns out, when you treat people well, they want to do business with you. Who knew? 1 year after that fateful day, Robert Chen visited Sophie's location again. This time, he was dressed in a nice suit. But he brought something with him. It was a photograph of George Williams, the man who had given him his first chance. I want this in every Premier Motors showroom, Robert Chen said. I want a plaque that tells his story. So we never forget. So we always remember why kindness matters. They hung the photograph in the center of the showroom. Under it, the plaque read, George Williams believed in giving chances to people others had given up on. He taught us that how you treat people when you have nothing to gain reveals your true character. This company exists because one man chose kindness over judgment. We honor his memory by doing the same. Sophie stood next to Robert Chen, looking at the photograph. Do you think he would be proud? She asked. Robert Chen nodded, tears in his eyes. Yes, I think he would. That night, Sophie went home and called her grandmother. She told her everything that had happened. You were right, Grandma, Sophie said. You always told me to treat everyone with kindness because you never know who they really are. I never imagined it would be the founder of the company, but even if it hadn't been, even if he really was just a homeless man, I'm glad I treated him with respect. Her grandmother laughed. Baby, that's the whole point. You shouldn't be kind because someone might be rich or important. You should be kind because every human being deserves kindness. That's what makes you a good person. Sophie smiled. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, baby, and I'm so proud of you. As Sophie lay in bed that night, she thought about everything that had happened. She thought about Marcus and Brittany and Mr. Patterson, and how different their lives might be if they had just chosen kindness that day. She thought about Daniel and all the other employees across the country who had passed the test without even knowing they were being tested. And she thought about George Williams, a man she'd never met, but who had changed the world by giving one poor man a chance. The next morning, Sophie went to work early. She stood in the empty showroom, looking at the cars. The bright red sports car that started it all was still there. She walked over to it and ran her hand along the smooth surface. She thought about how close she had come to doing nothing that day. How easy it would have been to just stand there silently while Marcus mocked the old man. But something inside her, maybe her grandmother's voice, maybe her own conscience, had pushed her to speak up, to show kindness to a stranger. That one small choice had changed her entire life, and the lesson was clear. Kindness is never wasted. You never know whose life you might change. You never know what difference your words or actions might make. Sometimes the beggar's a billionaire. Sometimes he's just a beggar. But that shouldn't matter, because every person, every single person, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. That's what Robert Chen learned 40 years ago. That's what he forgot for a while. And that's what he remembered again. Thanks to one kind young woman who chose to see a human being instead of a homeless man. The story of Premier Motors spread far and wide. It became a lesson taught in business schools. It became a reminder that success without character is meaningless. That profit without purpose is empty. And somewhere, Sophie liked to imagine, George Williams was smiling. So, What do you think about this story? Have you ever judged someone based on how they looked, only to realize you were wrong? Or maybe someone judged you unfairly? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you about the power of kindness and treating people right, then you're going to love what we have planned next. We share real, emotional stories just like this one every single week. Stories that make you think. Stories that make you feel. Stories that remind you what really matters in life. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now for emotional stories. Click the bell icon so you never miss a new story. Because life is too short for cruelty and the world needs more kindness. Let's spread it together, one story at a time. Thank you for watching, and remember, treat everyone like they matter, because they do.